always enjoy teaching any workshop about induction, because for people who are learning hypnosis, they think this is where the magic occurs. And this is what they get hung up on and feel like if they don't get it correctly, the person is not going to respond the way they want to. And the reason why I like teaching this is I'm not going to show you how to do all that, but I'm actually going to alleviate the fear that that's going to be a scenario that's likely. Because if you do an effective pre-talk, as Scott's already talked about, by the time you get to the induction, you're actually accomplishing something else because the magic has been done. They wouldn't be open and at this point if we hadn't accomplished through the building of rapport and the things that we do in pre-talk. They wouldn't be at the point where they're ready to close their eyes and follow a process that you lay out for them. In clinical hypnosis in my office, I have never once had a person say to me, you know, I've been here for 10 minutes and you've been talking to me and I'm not in trance. That's every hypnotist's greatest fear. But it's never happened to me once. The process that I usually use with induction is really pretty simple. I'm not going to teach you Richard Nodgar's super secret, magnanimous, awesome induction that nobody else can do, that yet to this point has never been revealed. The reason why is I use probably the simplest of all inductions. I use a progressive muscle relaxation induction for the most part, coupled with autogenic training, coupled with creative visualization, and coupled with eye fixation. In fact, if you have a pencil and paper, write these 4 things down. Let's put them in order. Number 1, eye fixation. Number 2, progressive muscle relaxation or muscle relaxation. Number 3, autogenic training. Sounds important, sounds fancy, it's really simple. And number 4, creative visualization. Now, I might vary this process depending on the client. And there are different clients who come in who need me to interact with them in a different way. And so I will use one of the many other induction strategies that I'm familiar with. But I would actually say both in clinical hypnosis and in stage hypnosis that I use this combination of induction techniques 95% of the time. But somebody asked me, it was back in 2007, Simone and I put out that video titled Speed Trance. It sort of revolutionized everyone's thinking on instant inductions. We have literally probably millions of views on YouTube. We've sold that DVD all around the world, not only to hypnotists, but to magicians and other people interested in rapid induction. You can go to YouTube and probably find 37 different languages where people have translated. I was at a convention, I was speaking, and somebody came up to me and said, what induction do you really use in your office? And I said, oh, that's easy. I use a eye fixation and progressive muscle relaxation coupled with autogenic training and creative visualization. And they said, but you originated, speed trance with Simone, and I saw you do this induction on YouTube. And I said, even in stage hypnosis, I use that basic induction strategy. And even though it doesn't impress other hypnotists at hypnosis conventions, because it's so basic, it's effective. If I'm getting paid to do a show in Las Vegas and the people who are there paid $50 for a seat, they didn't come to watch me do an impressive induction that makes other hypnotists at hypnotist conventions think I'm cool. They paid to have a good time. I want to make sure I do what's most effective with most of the people. So I use really a simple induction strategy. I also think, I did a presentation for the American Counseling Association on hypnosis at their convention a couple years ago. And because this was a group of counselors, not a group of hypnotists, I came up with the title for the workshop, simply titled Skill Building Hypnosis. And I had 6 hours, 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon, to teach counselors hypnosis. And so I taught them this basic hypnotic induction strategy, and the reason why is because if this is all we ever do with clients, it's beneficial. You see, there's a lot of people out there who think that induction is something we get through so the magic can happen. The reality is the induction in and of itself should be valuable. I think the induction is as important, if not more important, than anything else for problem solving. And so there are a couple things that the induction actually accomplishes. You wrote that down, numbers 1 through 4, the basic strategies, and I'm going to demonstrate these for you and break out the pieces. But here's what an effective induction does. It does basically 4 things. 1, it facilitates rapport. Ernest Rossi called hypnosis belly button to belly button communication. I mean, that's just a great metaphor for being in rapport with somebody. Don't worry, I won't sit down too long, Richard. He's back there adjusting the camera. Oh my gosh, he's out of the camera range. But that metaphor of belly button to belly button communication, exchanging nutrients with a person, that's really a powerful imagery of what the process should be like. And induction is where we can really go into deep rapport with a person to facilitate rapport with them. The second thing that induction does, and Erickson was correct, induction is not necessary. In fact, if you're doing an effective pre-talk, you've already done much of the hypnotic work. For example, when I work with smokers, I have a basket in my office, and it's got a bunch of cigarettes, lighters, Copenhagen, all those sorts of things in there, Nicorette inhalers, all those sorts of things, and people have given those up. And so during my pre-talk, I say to people, and I'm amazed at how many people make an appointment with me, come in my office, they have a sincere desire to quit, but they still have cigarettes in their purse or their car. I ask everyone, I say, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you to quit smoking? They say, oh, I'm a 9.5, or I'm a 10, or I'm an 11, or I'm an 8. And I'll say, great, do you have any cigarettes? And they say, in my car? I'll say, great, then why don't you go out to your car and get your cigarettes and get your lighters, the other accoutrements of smoking, have your last cigarette, because if they still have cigarettes in their car, they haven't had their last cigarette yet. Enjoy that last cigarette. I have no problem waiting for you when you enjoy that last cigarette. I'll be right here for you when you come back. They go out to their car, they smoke their last cigarette. If they have them in their purse, I say, go step outside, have your last cigarette. And then when they come in, that basket is sitting on the desk. I don't have to say anything to them. I don't have to explain what this basket is. And they walk in and they see that basket and they immediately put their cigarette and their lighters in that basket. Mm-hmm. This basket is hypnotic. It says other people have done this exact same thing. And you're doing exactly what everyone else has done. They've been successful, so I will be successful too. When they put those cigarettes in the basket, they've become a non-smoker at that point. It's not after the induction that the magic occurs. It's already occurred during the pre-talk. In fact, in many cases, the induction is the ritual that ratifies the change which has already occurred. But there's an expectation that I'm at a hypnotist's office, and so now I will be hypnotized. And so I try to be consistent with expectation. So induction meets a client's expectations. The third thing that good induction does is that it facilitates relaxation. Now, some people talk about, you're just doing relaxotherapy. Yeah, you know, people need to learn how to relax. Relaxation will go a long way at problem solving. I'm all in favor of relaxotherapy. And those people are correct that relaxation is not necessary for hypnosis. We see in stage hypnosis shows all the time where people respond to hypnotic phenomena with anxiety or surprise or with excitement, and we see that, you know, in stage hypnosis, but I'm not doing stage hypnosis in my office. And 99% of the clients who come in my office need to learn how to relax. And so hypnotic induction facilitates physical and mental relaxation. I had a client come in, actually, it's always interesting how referrals work, how to build a business. And I had a guy come in who wanted to quit smoking. He was 53, he was a smoker, and I worked with him and he was successful. And so in the third session with him, he said to me, he said, you know, now that I've done this and this has been great for me, my wife is really stressed out. Do you do anything for stress management? I said, yeah, sure, absolutely. He said, well, I'm going to send her to you. So she came to see me, and it turns out she was an oncologist, and she was starting a new practice. And she had had a successful practice, but had moved, and now was starting a new practice. She was the only, there were only 2 physicians in the group. It was obviously a stressful job, so I spent some sessions with her teaching her stress management. By the way, if you help the oncologist's husband quit smoking and then teach the oncologist stress reduction techniques, you will have an endless stream of referrals for your practice. But hypnotic induction facilitates relaxation, and I want to be able to put my clients at ease, but more importantly, teach them to put themselves at ease when they're not in my office. The fourth thing, or third thing, that I don't know what the numbers here are, math was never my strong point, is the induction tests for suggestibility. The induction really is a convincer to some extent. In other words, if I say to my client, and there will come a point where it's simply more comfortable to let the eyes close, and they don't close their eyes, it tells me they're not following my suggestions. If I say to my client, and relax by letting the neck fall towards the chest, relaxing the muscles of the neck and shoulders, and I don't see them do that, that means they're not following my suggestion. If I say, take in a deep breath and focus on that in-breath, and I don't see them take in a deep breath, that means they're not following those suggestions. If they don't follow a suggestion to take in a deep breath or close their eyes or relax the muscles in the shoulders, just letting them drop, then why would they follow my suggestion to see a buffet as an opportunity to make one of many healthy food choices in the correct portion? If I give them the suggestion that they'll take in a deep breath and that they'll exhale, letting the exhale be twice as long as the inhale, and I don't see them do that, if they don't take that action, that means they're not going to follow my suggestion for whatever I'm dealing with as a therapeutic issue later on. So the induction lets me know, are they following my suggestion? How do you know they're going to be successful at weight loss when you're done with the session? Because they followed your suggestions. And if the suggestion you gave them was that they'll take the pedometer I've given them at the beginning of the session, and that they'll wear it each and every day, taking more steps today than yesterday, more steps tomorrow than today, more steps the next day than tomorrow, until you reach 10,000 steps a day. How do I know they're going to increase their activity level by following that direct suggestion? Because they followed the other suggestions I gave them. If they closed their eyes, if they relaxed the muscles, if they created the visual imagery, if when I do the deepener, they follow the suggestions there, and they follow the other suggestions I give during the hypnotic process, they're going to follow that suggestion too. And when a client increases their activity level each day, we went to dinner last night at the vegetarian restaurant. We both are big fans of pedometers. He's got one on him, just like my clients do. And when they follow that suggestion, what happens when you take 10,000 steps a day?
Lose weight.
You lose weight. Jared from Subway, you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. You know, I ate at Subway and I lost all this weight because I ate nothing but healthy food at Subway. Jared didn't lose weight because he ate at Subway. Jared walked to Subway.
Yeah.
That's why Jared lost the weight. So, induction tests for suggestibility. And induction teaches skills. I try to teach skills in each component of the induction. Eye fixation seems too simple, but it teaches a really valuable skill. And that valuable skill is that I can focus on anything, no matter what else is going on in my world. Your pain control clients, all they can focus on is their pain. My pain, my pain, my pain. They need to learn how to focus on something other than their pain. And eye fixation as a beginning strategy in induction actually teaches that skill of focusing attention. My depressed client needs to focus on something other than the negative self-talk. I'm depressed, I can't do anything right, you know, life is miserable, whatever their cognitive errors are. Eye fixation is actually a strategy that teaches them that, in addition to facilitating entry into a theta level of brain functioning. The second component, progressive muscle relaxation, I love. The reason why I love progressive muscle relaxation is because it's non-threatening. You don't ever have anyone say, well, this is a little too creepy for me. You've asked me to relax the muscles of my brow, and you asked me to release the tension in my jaw. I think that this is probably New Age-ish, or maybe even occultic. People aren't creeped out by a progressive muscle relaxation induction. They say to themselves, wow, I've actually done this before. Or, wow, this is really simple. I didn't know hypnosis was really that simple. Autogenic training. 1932, German cardiologist decided he needed to come up with a way to keep his patients from dying. He said to himself, his name was Dr. Schultz, he said to himself, wow, I'm a German cardiologist and it's 1932, and we haven't yet invented stents, bypass surgery, and Plavix. And so, because we haven't invented that yet, and all my patients are dying, it must have sucked being a cardiologist in 1932, I got to figure out a way to help keep these people alive. So he came up with an 8-week training protocol he called autogenic training that helped a person to take physical control over their bodies, and that would keep them from dying. That was his theory. And so he came up with a protocol. Autogenic training means myself, genic, from within, generating from within physical changes in the body. By the way, if you've ever been to biofeedback, taken biofeedback training, had biofeedback, everything we use, the TENS unit, all those sorts of things, $10,000 for the equipment, every single thing in modern biofeedback came from 1932 from autogenic training. The entire biofeedback industry is based on the protocol that he taught his clients with no equipment. Now, there's a lengthy process to autogenic training. I incorporate the very first week of his protocol in the most basic, creating the sensations of warmth and heaviness, because those are very easy to create and easy for people to experience. Like I said yesterday or the day before, whenever it was, when people have that sense of heaviness and that sense of warmth, they say to themselves, wow, I really am being hypnotized because I feel warmer. Or wow, I really do feel that heaviness. And different people experience it at different levels, and not all experience everything the same way. That's okay. There are multiple components to this induction. And then the fourth thing is creative visualization. Because what my clients do when they sit in the office is they begin to analyze the process. And so during my induction, there's a point where I say to them, and to this point, you may have noticed your mind wandering, even thinking, even analyzing the process, or perhaps even wondering if you're entering hypnosis. That's perfectly okay, because to this point, we've been focusing on the body. And minds are supposed to think, so you don't have to let it bother you if your mind is thinking or wandering, or even analyzing the process. In a moment, we'll get to a point where we can relax the body as easily as we can relax the mind. That's what the creative visualization is for. It's to relax the mind. And then I go into a simple deepener. I like to go into a number count. The reason why is the number count is, again, consistent with expectations. The reason that we have a pendulum, right, is because as a sort of a motif or a logo, people associate that with hypnosis because that's what pop culture has told us that hypnotists do. And so when people see a pocket watch, they think hypnotist. When people hear a number count, they think, wow, I'm being hypnotized. We can thank Bela Lugosi for this. Bela Lugosi, for whatever reason, decided that when Dracula hypnotized people, he would count backwards. 10, 9, 8, you are going deeper into trance. 7, 6, 5, 4, all the way down now, right? So Bela Lugosi decided that's what we were going to do, and that became such a part of pop culture that Sesame Street even parodied it. And you know something is entrenched in pop culture when Sesame Street parodies it, and they came up with the count. 1, 2, 3, right? And that was the count from Sesame Street. So what happens when I do the deepening process, when I use a number count, again, it's really simple. I mean, can't you come up with a better deepener than that, Richard? I mean, that's not very, impressive at the hypnosis convention. My clients aren't paying me to impress other hypnotists. They're paying me to guide them into deep trance. And when they're sitting in my chair, and I say to them, and as I count backwards from 10 to 1, with each number, let yourself drift into an even deeper level of hypnosis. And then I count backwards, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. My client, that internal voice says, holy mackerel, they really do count backwards. Oh my gosh, I saw this on Sesame Street or Bela Lugosi. This must be where I enter hypnosis. Oh my gosh, this really is working. I can feel myself going deeper into trance as he counts backwards. Wow, this is freaking amazing. That's what happens to him. It's consistent with expectation. This is a very basic process. It's a very simple process, but it's a very effective process. So let me guide you through it. By the way, you can do this quickly or you can do this slowly. With some of my clients, I intentionally spend a long time doing induction because I really want to teach them skills. We can either do active or passive muscle relaxation. For the essence of time, I'll do passive relaxation with you. I do that with most of my clients. But some of my clients, especially those who are very anxious, I will have them actually go through Jacobson, 1928, wrote a book on progressive muscle relaxation. That's where we get it from. And Jacobson has 16 muscle groups where you tense and relax. Tense and relax. And each time you tense and relax, you'll notice that it's fractionation. You become more relaxed with each tension and each relaxation. Some clients during the induction process, I'll actually use Jacobson's formal progressive muscle relaxation and really extend this induction if I'm trying to teach someone how to take physical control over their bodies. My anger management clients, my eating disorder clients, my nicotine withdrawal clients, they really need to learn that difference, and so I'll teach it to them. So you can expand or shorten any of these things. If you have a person who's very kinesthetic, really focus on the autogenic training, I give all my clients a little quiz that helps me identify their primary representational system in that first session. By the way, that doesn't tell me don't be kinesthetic with them. It just means in my first session with them the first time, use what's easiest for them. And if they're a 10 on kinesthetic, well, then I'll use a lot of autogenic training. If they're a 0 in kinesthetic, I'm not going to push the warmth and heaviness. I'm going to focus on the visualization. And I can really mold this to the individual client using this 4-step process. But here it is, because it's easier sometimes to teach things by simply demonstrating them. So over here on the far wall, there are flecks of paint, there are spots on the corner, there are plant leaves, there are shades of light. And I'd like you to pick a spot that you can focus your attention on. Doesn't matter where it is or what it is. It can be a fleck, a spot, a shadow, a corner, a plant. It can be anything you want to. But just pick a spot and focus your attention on it. Essentially, I'm asking you to stare at a spot on the wall. Now, I think hypnosis is a learning process. A lot of my clients need to learn how to really focus their attention. So even if I'm moving around, or even if the people in the room around you are moving around, continue to keep your focus there on that spot. Essentially stare at that spot. This is really learning number one. That even though your mind might wander, even though I might wander, you still have the ability to focus your attention anywhere you want to. Even on something as simple as a spot on the far wall. Now, if you start on a spot for a long enough period of time, it's not rocket science, it's really ocular fatigue. The eyes become a little tired. You'll notice the spot becomes sharper, crisper, clearer. Or for some of you, it becomes hazier and fuzzier and more difficult to see. Either way is fine. And some of you won't experience any change, but you're still able to focus on that spot. And when you do that for a long enough period of time, you'll find that it's simply easier to close the eyes. Some of you are actually even writing notes. You don't need to write notes because I have this posted on the internet. So you don't have to worry about whether or not you'll be able to remember it later on. So you can even close your eyes also. What's amazing is how even with our eyes closed, we can still focus on that spot on the far wall. It's almost as if we have X-ray vision. It's really pretty cool. By the way, if your eyes aren't closed yet, next time you blink, let that be an indicator that it's time to close the eyes down, and just close that eyes down and join the rest of the folks in the room in being able to focus on that spot on the far wall, even with the eyes closed. Learning number two, that we have the ability to focus on anything we want to, even if it's not obvious. Now take in a breath and pay attention to the breath. Pay attention to the feeling of inhalation and exhalation. Neither trying to speed up nor slow down the breath. You're just paying attention to the breath like you were able to pay attention to that spot. And notice how as you pay attention to the breath, the heart rate automatically becomes more smooth and rhythmic. And the body becomes more relaxed. Perhaps a little more relaxed. And our face has over 200 little tiny muscles in it. Muscles in the eyelids, muscles in the jaw, muscles in the brow. We can actually release the tension in those small muscles of the face and brow by simply letting go of the tension of the day that we hold in those muscles, feeling a sense of heaviness in the eyelids as you relax them completely. And pay attention to that TMJ joint in the jaw. We often store a lot of tension there, and just unclench the jaw, noticing that sensation of relaxation in the jaw. With each breath, becoming more and more relaxed, letting that relaxation extend through the shoulders and neck, even dropping your chin towards your chest a bit. That'll really open up your shoulders and let you enjoy the feeling of physical relaxation. Notice as you drop your shoulders how relaxation extends into the arms and forearms and even the wrists and even into the palms and hands and the little tiny muscles of the fingers. Feels pretty good to learn new things with the eyes closed and to really focus on creating that sense of relaxation. At this point, you may actually be thinking. You may be wondering about the process, and that's okay. In a few minutes, we'll get to the point where we focus on relaxing the mind. Right now, we're just relaxing the body. So as those hands rest on your lap, heavy and relaxed, let the sense of relaxation extend through the back and diaphragm, and the muscles of the buttocks and thighs that often carry us through the day, and extend into the shins and feet, and even to the little tiny muscles of the toes. In fact, you can even wiggle your toes a little bit, and that'll help them actually relax. And when the wiggling stops, you can sense relaxation in those toes that are often constricted by our shoes. And continue to breathe in and breathe out, with each breath doubling the sensation of physical relaxation. Focusing on the feeling of relaxation in the eyelids and the feeling of relaxation in the hands and the relaxation in the feet. And say to yourself, as you focus on your hands, my hands are warm and heavy. My hands are warm and heavy. Just say that to yourself. My hands are warm and heavy. And let your hands be both warm and heavy. Heaviness is a feeling that we often associate with relaxation. Warmth can come from the sun or it can come from inside of us. But let your hands be both warm and heavy, saying to yourself, my hands are warm and heavy. My hands are warm and heavy. You can even focus on your feet and say to yourself, my feet are warm and heavy. My feet are warm and heavy. And let yourself feel a sense of warmth and heaviness in the feet. So heavy that even though you know you could open your eyes or lift your feet or lift your hands if you wanted to, if you try to lift your feet or lift your hands, you'll find they simply become more relaxed and heavier, staying right where they are. And to this point, we focused on relaxing the body, and as easy as we can relax the body, we can also relax the mind. And one way to do this is with creative visualization. And so imagine you're outside on a perfect day underneath a clear blue sky. A place you've been before, a place you'd like to go, or even a place of your own creation, just an awesome place underneath a clear blue sky. As you focus your attention on that clear blue sky, imagine a single white puffy cloud floating lazily and leisurely across the sky, moving slowly towards the horizon. And just follow it as it moves off into the distance, noticing how easy it is to cast anything either known or unknown, keeping you from success and keeping you from fully experiencing this process into that cloud, simply watching it and following it with your mind's eye until it moves to a point in the horizon where it completely disappears. It is, of course, at that point that both mind and body are completely relaxed. A place we call hypnosis, never sleep, but deeply relaxed. A place where we're able to move forward and access that creative and intuitive part of the mind that is so useful for learning new things. And so as I count backwards from 10 to 1, with each number, simply double that sensation of relaxation in both mind and body. 10, 9, 8. Doing perfect. Letting go completely. 7, 6, 5. Perhaps listening to each and every word I use, or at this point only experiencing the process, listening experientially. Either way, of course, is fine. 6, 5, 4. All the way down now, completely relaxed. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Accessing that creative and intuitive part of the mind, that part of the mind that's primed for learning. Being able to, from this point forward, easily re-enter this state of creativity and learning. And easily being able to see how what you've learned here today and yesterday and the day before and tomorrow as well can benefit not only you, but the clients on your caseload as well. And so focus on your breath again. Focus on that breath. Focus on the feeling of the chair below your seat, my voice, and how wonderful it feels to be able to create this state. The state, of course, is not one that I've created, but one that you've created by simply following this process. And the cool thing is that throughout the rest of the day, or throughout the rest of the week, throughout the rest of the month, anytime, anywhere, with or without hypnosis, you need to return to this state of relaxation, serenity, calm, creativity, intuition. All you need to do is close your eyes for a moment, take in a breath, and bring yourself back to this point that you've created here today. But because this is only a demonstration, it is, of course, time to reorient to the room around you. So in a moment, be ready to open the eyes, but not yet. Right now, simply paying attention to the floor below your feet, the chair below your butt, my voice, and pay attention to your breath as you breathe in a sense of energy from the experiences of others in the room around you. Stretch out any muscles that need to be stretched. Take in another deep breath, feeling the oxygen reach every cell of the body. And in a moment, I'll ask you to open your eyes. When I count to 3, I'll ask you to open your eyes. But returning your attention back to that spot on the far wall before you open your eyes. 1. Having learned from this experience. 2. Finding that in all that you do, you'll find this skill-building induction useful in both your own life and with clients. And 3, opening your eyes, focusing on that point where we started this induction. Having learned experientially something new and something useful. Now, 3, wakey, eggs and bakey. That's a basic induction strategy. It can easily be adapted. We can really focus on lengthening PMR. We could do, if I have somebody who, my chronic pain clients really get frustrated by progressive muscle relaxation, I'll basically skip it. I'll say, and as you take in a breath, pay attention to anywhere in the body you're carrying tension, let go of that spot to the best of your ability. And then I'll really move into autogenic training or expanding the visualization. You can go anywhere you want to with this. But as a basic strategy for induction, it's non-threatening. It teaches skills. If all we ever did with clients was teach them that process, you know what? They'd sleep better at night. They'd manage their anger. They'd be able to relieve their impulsivity. If we forget about suggestive therapy, indirect and direct suggestion, if that's all we ever did with clients, our clients would be better off. And so it's a basic process for induction. It doesn't impress hypnotists at hypnosis conventions, but it's effective. It works. It's really pretty cool. What was your experience here? Let me have some feedback. Was it easy for you, hard for you? What was the experience like?
That's the easiest one for me to actually get into unless I'm, like you said, in real bad pain.
Right.
But as my normal level of pain that I operate on all the time, you relieve a bunch of it.
Sure, and if I have somebody who
Within
does
about
have,
2 minutes.
5 fusions in their back or whatever else, I really focus on the breath work instead of the relaxation.
For me, I'm out. At some point, I don't even hear what you're saying.
Well, and I give you that
I'll come
suggestion.
back, yeah.
And the suggestion was, at this point, you may have been listening to each and every word or simply listening experientially,
Yeah.
no longer hearing the words that I use and simply learning by doing the process. I said something like that, I'm sure. And that's actually an indirect suggestion.
Yeah, it was the same thing with her. I like to pay attention to what's going, because I have this thing that I don't want to miss anything.
Right.
but then when you gave that suggestion, I realized it's like, you know what,
Which suggestion to put your pens down
no,
and stop taking notes?
no, I wasn't, no, the one where you know.
That worked for a couple people.
But yeah, it was just like, okay, I know he's saying words, but.
Now, whenever I ask for feedback at a workshop, all the people had an easy time. Were like, "Oh, that was awesome. That was great." How about somebody who had a hard time with this? Who had a hard time with it? Okay. All right. There you go. If you have a room of 30 people, you will have somebody who doesn't respond like everybody else. If you were in my office, I would be in that belly button to belly button communication with you. I would be able to see, before I moved to the next suggestion, I would see that you hadn't resolved the previous suggestion, and I would continue to focus there, right? And so this is very adaptable. Sometimes for your ADD person, and you really extend that PMR, you're going to lose them because you're too slow. Okay, they need that short induction. By the way, they might need that short induction in the first session. I may challenge them and teach them focusing skills by really expanding the time of that in second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth sessions with a person. But sometimes people don't have an easy time with this process, in which case there are other inductions that are useful and helpful, or I may have to adapt this to the individual specifically that I'm working with, and that's perfectly okay also.
So Richard, how do you handle the people that you mentioned before? You are in the middle of the induction and you say something like the suggestion, okay, close your eyes or this or that, and just pump it up and open it and you just don't pay
Oh, if somebody opens their eyes?
It's not that they are not following the instructions. They gotta be no.
Well, they follow my instructions. I mean, I don't have people that pay me and then don't follow my instructions. I may need to pace them to have them follow my instructions, but they came there to be hypnotized. And so they'll follow my instructions if they're non-threatening. Those are non-threatening. Was anyone like, wow, I'm creeped out by this induction. This is just too strange for me. This is very non-threatening, and people follow along the process. And I might do something, and this is a great strategy. If I do have somebody who's not really responding easily, usually if that's the case, it's because of an anxiety level. Usually, 9 times out of 10, it's an anxiety level, and it's not an anxiety about me or the process or anything else. They're just an anxious person. They're my panic disorder clients. They're my OCD clients. Remember, OCD, if it's not a personality disorder, fits in the anxiety disorder model. And then I'll fractionate them, and I'll use this induction because it's such a basic strategy in fractionation. You want to do that quickly because this is kind of fun. Let's say I have a client who really needs to go into this piece by piece. This is your first session, you're very anxious, then you can play that role, right? So everyone bring yourself to anxiety. Right? Great. A lot of people are a little bit anxious when they come into my office for the first time. And what I'm going to do today is really going to be pretty simple. In fact, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that you can't do. This is really a basic process where I'm going to teach you skills. In fact, one of the first things I'm going to teach you is how to focus your attention, because as an anxiety disordered person, you're often so focused, I'm making this up a little bit, but you're often so focused on the next catastrophe that you can probably really benefit from just learning how to focus your attention. So the first thing I'm going to do is have you focus your attention somewhere. And so pick a point over here on the far wall. Everyone pick a point on the far wall and focus your attention on that spot. Do you have a spot? Okay, great. Now, just stare at that spot for a few moments. Stare at that spot. Now, if you stare at a spot for a long enough period of time, what happens is the eyes become a little bit tired. This isn't magic, it's just ocular fatigue. And the spot becomes brighter, sharper, crisper, clearer for some people. For others, it becomes hazier and fuzzier and more difficult to see. Some people don't experience any change, but you're able to really focus on that spot, aren't you? Are you? Good. Now, if you focus on a spot for a long enough period of time, there will come a point where it's simply more comfortable to close the eyes. So go ahead and close your eyes down. And with your eyes closed down, notice how you can still focus on that spot on the far wall. It's really pretty cool, isn't it? Being able to focus on a spot on the far wall as if you have x-ray vision, even with the eyes closed. And hypnosis is not really magic, it's about learning something new. And I'm going to teach you how to focus on new things, even if they're not obvious to see. Now go ahead and open your eyes. Everyone open your eyes. Open your eyes. You're able to do that? Awesome. And wasn't it pretty cool being able to focus on a spot as if you had X-ray vision? Remember when you were a kid, you spent 25 cents off to the comic book and you try to buy X-ray vision? You had it all along. It's really pretty cool, isn't it? Now, in addition to teaching you how to really focus your attention, I'm also going to teach you how to relax the body. A lot of people who have anxiety really feel it in the body in various places. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to guide you into the basic process of physical relaxation. So go ahead and close your eyes again. And take in a breath. And as you take in a breath, pay attention to that feeling of inhaling the air and exhaling the air. You don't have to try to speed up or slow down the breath, but pay attention to your breathing. Just using that as a focal point anytime you find your mind wandering. Now we have over 200 little muscles in the face. Muscles in the eyelids, muscles in the jawline, muscles in the brow. We often carry tension in those little tiny micro muscles of the face. If you're a poker player, you probably carry your tells there. And you can actually focus on those muscles in the face and consciously make the decision to let them relax, letting that relaxation spread across the brow and into the little tiny muscles of the eyelids. And by releasing the tension in the jaw, releasing any tension you hold in the muscles in the lower part of the face. You guys are doing a great job of relaxing. I can see that from here. And so go ahead and let your chin drop towards your chest a bit. And that'll release the tension in your shoulders. And just let your shoulders fall as you experience a sense of relaxation in the shoulders and upper back. And as you let that relaxation spread to the arms and forearms. Feels pretty good to take a minute to still the body. We've probably been carrying a lot of tension in those places. Now go ahead and open your eyes again. Open your eyes again. Feels pretty good to relax the body, doesn't it? Awesome. And you found it to be a pretty easy process so far. All of the other things we're going to do hypnosis are really this easy also. So go ahead and close your eyes again. Go back to relaxation, relaxing the eyelids and the shoulders and the arms. And as you relax the muscles in your hands and fingers, really pay attention to the weight of those finger muscles as they relax. And think of the word heavy. And focus on those hands relaxing. Say to yourself, my hands are heavy. My hands are heavy. And just let your hands feel a sense of heaviness. Are you able to feel that heaviness? Just nod if you feel that heaviness in the hands as your hands relax. Great. Now think of the word warmth. Warmth like that which might come from the sun, or warmth like that which might come from inside of the body. And focus on your hands and say to yourself, my hands are warm and heavy. And let your hands feel a sense of warmth. Saying to yourself, my hands are warm and heavy. My hands are warm and heavy. Go ahead, open your eyes again. Open your eyes. Feels pretty good, doesn't it? Could you feel that heaviness? Could you feel at any level a sense of warmth in the body or warmth in the hands? Yeah? Cool. Now go ahead and close your eyes down now. One more time. Taking a deep breath and letting go absolutely. And as easy as we can relax the body, we can also relax the mind. One way to do this is by imagining ourselves outside. On a perfect and beautiful day. Underneath a clear blue sky, a place we've been before, a place we'd like to go, or even a place of our own creation. And imagine a single white puffy cloud floating lazily and leisurely across the sky, and as it moves off towards the horizon, simply follow that cloud as it becomes smaller and smaller, casting into it anything either known or unknown, keeping you from success. And there will, of course, come a point where it disappears off into the horizon, and it will be at that point that both mind and body are deeply relaxed. never asleep, but deeply relaxed. And it feels pretty good to create this state of mental and physical relaxation. For some of you, easy to do. For some of you, more difficult to do. But of course, either way is fine. Because over the next couple of days and weeks, you can practice this in your own life, finding yourself easily acquiring the skills of using these techniques so that you'll be able to pass them along with excitement and confidence to the clients on your caseload. And now taking a breath, stretch out the muscles that need to be stretched, getting ready to open the eyes, focusing on that spot on the far wall, and feeling fantastic. So I can actually go through that process step by step with somebody who's anxious. I can really test to make sure before I go on to the next point that they're experiencing these things. And if I'm doing that one-on-one, again, it's even easier than if you have 25 people.
I'd like you to address a little about intruding thoughts, because we have a guy over here next door, I don't know what it is, that usually works really good for me. He has like an abrasive voice, whoever the speaker is over there.
Right?
And I can't seem, and I'm usually really good, and I can't seem to get it out
Two
of me.
things.
And then everything else gets amplified. Somebody coughs.
Two things that I do. Three things that I do. Number one, in my office, I use headphones with all of my clients for that reason. I used to have an accountant behind me. I don't know why accountants are so noisy, but his voice would carry through the wall and be like, wah, 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 right? And I guess he was yelling at clients, and they had that same experience. Headphones in the office solved it. Can't do that in a hotel. If there are, like when I'm doing stage hypnosis, I don't have headphones, I give them the suggestion. And the suggestion is that if you hear the waiter walk in the room, or you hear somebody coughing, or even a speaker in the room next door, those things won't disturb you. As a matter of fact, they'll simply reassure you that you're exactly where you need to be learning, exactly what you need to be learning. In fact, they'll actually help you relax further by assuring you that you're in the right place at the right time, right here and right now. So I can give that suggestion, which is often effective. And then the third thing, and when I teach this summer, I'm actually going to be teaching, 40 hours? Is that correct? I'm going to be teaching essentially on outcome-based treatment. In other words, what does the research show that works? Well, we are in an era of, we call the third wave of psychology. The first wave was Freud and psychoanalysis. The second wave was B.F. Skinner and behavioralism. The third wave of psychotherapy is contextual psychology. And I try to teach my clients the skill of mindfulness. In fact, because this is a short class and it's not a full semester long class, I haven't taught all of the details, but I incorporate a lot of mindfulness training into my inductions. And I tend to use the breath work and expand on that more with clients that are in my office. Because that helps them to live in the moment. I think people sometimes say, explain this mindfulness concept to me. The one who explained it best is the great master Ugwe. And the great master Ugwe, of course, said that, what did Master Ugwe say? Yesterday is gone.
Yesterday is history.
Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is history.
Today is a gift. That's why they call it the present.
Exactly. See, I knew somebody better at quotations than me. But all we have is this moment, and this moment is always okay. And we teach our clients to cultivate mindfulness and live in the present. This is why I don't do regression therapy. All I have is right now. I can make changes today despite what I did and what happened in the past. I don't need to understand the past to live in the present. I only need to learn how to live in the present to live in the present. And that's contextual psychology. That's Buddhism. Yeah. Buddha was the first psychologist. He didn't know there was going to be a religion called Buddhism. He was actually the first psychologist. And mindfulness is about cultivating the present. Because yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. All we have is the present. That's why it's a gift. And by the way, these concepts are not new. You know, University of California, whatever, over there by San Francisco, hanging out by the
Santa Cruz?
Santa Cruz, right. Fritz Perls.
Yes.
Fritz Perls was all about the Gestalt therapy. It was about living in the now. And of course, NLP, largely modeled on Gestalt therapy. When we create interventions to help my client to develop mindfulness, present living, Gestalt therapy, whatever we want to call it today, we alleviate a lot of those stressors and irritants from life, because right now is always okay. I don't really try to help, I don't charge my clients $150 to help them relive the past so they can resolve it. I try to teach my clients to live in the present, because I can't even I don't think I'm so wise that I can understand their past for them if they can't understand it. But cultivating present living, that's what people aren't doing. When you see somebody who just has a wonderful manner about them and loves life, who's successful in the things that they do, who have good relationships, who are self-satisfied, they've cultivated present living. They're not worried about the future, they're not dwelling on the past, they're enjoying the moment. And we can do that no matter where we've come from or what we're going to experience in the future. All right, any other questions on induction or thoughts on induction?
I have a question. Like, when there's the expectation in the induction as one of the doorways to higher suggestibility, if you take it, like, what's the difference between surprise and the expectation? Because in some inductions, when there is a surprise, are used for, I don't know, confusion and helping into the induction, versus when it's the expectation.
In my office, I don't need, and we're talking clinical hypnosis here, I don't need surprise, I don't usually need confusion, unless I have an analytical person who, for some reason, is objecting to what he just asked me to do, which does occasionally happen because I work with a lot of attorneys for some reason, and they tend to require some different induction techniques. Also, I had a doctor see me for smoking cessation a couple years ago. By the way, if you want another endless supply of referrals, help the closet smoker doctor quit smoking. He still sends me every one of his patients. He came in, closet smoker, you know, blah, blah. First thing he said is, "Do you do Ericksonian hypnosis?" And I said, "Would you like me to?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "How do you know what Ericksonian hypnosis is?" He said, "I'm a doctor." I said, "And are you a hypnotist?" He said, "Well, no, but I took a class once." I said, "All right, So I did the session with him. He left a non-smoker, came back 3 days later for session number 2, and he said, I get this from a lot of people. Comes in session number 2, I can see when he walks in the door he hasn't smoked, because when somebody gets rid of the poison nicotine for 72 hours, you can see it. So he comes in, and I can see he hasn't smoked, and I said, "Hey, congratulations, you've done great." He said, "Yeah." He said, "I still don't think I was hypnotized, though." Wait, he's been trying to figure out how to quit smoking for the last 5 years. Coincidentally, he happened to pay me for a hypnosis session and let me guide him through a very basic process, but he doesn't think he was hypnotized, he thinks he just quit. He said, and so if I just felt hypnotized, then I know I could stay a non-smoker. Oh, great, cool, because that makes a 7-second session, or 7-minute session instead. We're not going to the comfortable furniture, sit right here. I said, I'm going to do a process that uses what we call speed trance, just like Las Vegas in a show. So kick your butt back in the chair. Let me have this hand here, loosey-goosey in the arm. I'm going to teach you speed trance induction, sleep. Shock, confusion, loss of equilibrium, all of those things combined. Powerful, direct suggestion, using arm catalepsy, releasing. He was out of that chair in 5 minutes. And when I emerged him, he went, "Wow, that felt great." Cool. Have a great day. That's our second session. Adios. He still sends me endless clients. So yeah, there are times we might want to use a different induction with some clients. There isn't one induction. There isn't, if you learn this induction, it will work for everybody, always, every situation for the rest of your life. That's why I wrote a book on inductions. I think it's got 14 different inductions on there. Because all those other things have a place and are useful. But I use this induction that I just showed you 95% of the time. Why? Because it's effective, it's non-threatening, it's relatively easy, it feels good, it teaches specific skills, and it works. Also, I tend to not want my client, I think another mistake a lot of hypnotists make is thinking that trance depth is important. I did a thing for the Hypno Summit on trance depth. I gave Scott the video in case he didn't have it, so you can upload it to the HPTI school so you can watch it. But I don't want my clients in deep trance in many situations. I don't think trance depth has anything to do with the usefulness of trance. And I explain that elsewhere, so I won't take the time to do that. In fact, for a lot of my clients, especially the smokers in the first session, I tell them, I want you to remain in a light level of trance because I'm going to be teaching you things that you're going to be able to use over the next 3 days to eliminate any cravings that you thought you might have experienced. And I spend a lot of time teaching my clients those skills. I teach my clients to cultivate mindfulness. I teach them those things. I don't want them in deep trance. I don't want to be able to do hypnotic surgery. There's a time and a place for deep trance, but with many of my clients, the light levels of trance are actually preferable for the learning process. Because then I can interview them, I can talk to them, I can get feedback during my session. And I'm not one of these guys, I've never done this with a client. And you can let me know by moving your left finger or your right finger if you, that's too ambiguous for me. I mean, it might have worked for Milton Erickson, he can do it his way if he wants to. I like real answers from real people. And so I'll say, you know, I've given you some suggestions today for mindful eating. I've asked you to increase your success in weight loss by adding to your diet. I do that with all my clients. The first thing I want you to add to your diet is simply to add a half pound of fruit and a half pound of vegetables to your diet each and every day. You don't have to give anything up, simply add something new. And so over the next week between now and our next session, that's a strategy that's going to be essential for you. Are you going to be able to follow through on that, Jackie? See, I asked the question. Great. Do you have a place that you can shop? Is there a time that you can shop? I'll ask these questions during the hypnotic process, and I expect answers from my clients. If they're in deep trance where I can do surgery with them, they're not going to be answering my questions. And so there's a value in light levels of trance, and I say utilize them. This induction that I just taught you can either be used, depending on how I structure the deepener, can either take them into a very deep level of trance or they can remain in a light level of trance. I can do a quick 5-count deepener and keep them in a light level of trance. I can expand that puffy white cloud into an extended visualization induction and be sawing off their leg a half hour later. With the same induction, depending on how I want to structure the deepener.
Do you work in real light trance even with those analytical guys?
Yeah, in fact, I tend to, in my first sessions with them, tend to prefer light trance.
You do?
Yeah, and one of the things I'll say to them during the induction is being an analytical person, you're probably evaluating this process. And as you evaluate this process, I want you to pay attention to the learnings that you experience today, so that you'll be able to take those with you when our session is over. The value of hypnosis is not the 30 minutes they're in my office. The value in hypnosis is what did I give them to take with them when they leave my office. Phil Goldstein was asked, what's the value of meditation? Isn't it really a waste of 30 minutes just sitting here doing nothing? And the story he tells is this. It's a lot easier when you're in a forest to chop down a tree if you sharpen the axe first. And meditation isn't about 30 minutes in a spot. It's about what Scott said earlier, becoming hypnotic. It's about making meditation a part of your life so that when you find the tree, the axe is sharp. And in my session, I want to give them, through the induction, I want to give them, look, I gave them the ability to focus their attention even on something that's not obvious, to shift their attention away from something and to something, to a spot on the wall, to the breath. I gave them the ability to go through a process, either quickly or slowly, of physically taking control over the body. Man, my eating disorder clients, my angry clients, my withdrawal clients needed that skill. I taught them, wow, that they have the ability, if I can create warmth, I could create comfort too. If I could create heaviness, I bet I could end pain. I taught them skills. And then with my visualization, I teach them that no matter how many thoughts I have racing through my mind, I have the ability to release both things that are known and unknown by simply following a process at the end of that point of deep trance, either on my own or in the office. I want my clients, I give you the ability to take this with you. I'm sure I gave you the suggestion. At any time over the next day or 2 or 3, you need to return to this place with or without hypnosis, with or without my voice. Simply close your eyes and bring yourself back to this point that you've created. I stress that this was your process. I'm simply the guide, not the guru. If I was a guru, I'd make a lot more money, dress better, and have a fancier car. Any other questions?
Just when you have somebody who says, I can't see anything, creative visualization, I don't see a freaking cloud. You ask me to make my hands feel heavy or warm, I don't feel that. Do you just then just go to a whole different?
Well, they don't say that. Okay, they don't say that. Now, I do have clients who say, you know, I have a really hard time with visualization. That's okay. In this session, if it's the first session, I already know that because I gave them my little quiz, right? So I could see there were a 0 for visualization. So I probably skipped the puffy white cloud, okay? But I might say to a client who says, I can't, you know, you did that induction and I really got the warm and heavy and that felt good, but you lost me on that whole puffy white cloud thing. Then I know they have a hard time with visualization. Then in my next session, I may very well set this up by saying to them, you know, one of the skills of being able to take control over both your mental and physical experiences is increasing your visual acuity. So even though it's hard for you to visualize, and even though other hypnotists might not have you visualize, we're going to start with some real simple visualizations so I can help you increase your visual acuity. If I have somebody who's not kinesthetic, I didn't feel any warmth or heaviness, that doesn't mean they can't feel warmth or heaviness. It means like any other meditative skill, I may need to practice that with them in successive sessions because I want them to develop that skill if they don't have it today.
The other angle to play on that is going back to we're all beautiful and unique snowflakes. So if I've already told my clients, look, everything we're doing is about customizing and making it personal for you. So give me that feedback.
Right.
So if they say, oh, I didn't see anything. I could hear what you were saying. I could feel that, but I didn't see it. You say, cool, okay, you're a feeling guy. You're not a seeing guy. All right, well, from now on, I know I can do that. Thanks for the feedback. And because you set that up in your pre-talk, that feedback is okay because today was a broad net. Day one, we were introducing you to everything and you and I were learning how to work together. We know that you prefer this. Cool, next time we're going to do that. And in my little notes that I showed you guys, that little slash mark underneath, that is one of the things I put down there. Hates visual induction, use a lot of auditory constructs.
Yeah, I ask all my clients at the end of every session for feedback. And I incorporate that into the next session. I think the same thing as Scott says. I put it in my notes. So then I know next week. Next week, I either know what to avoid or I know what to challenge them on. I'm big on challenging my clients when they don't have visual acuity, when they don't have auditory acuity, when they don't have kinesthetic acuity. In order to facilitate trance in that first session, I may avoid it. But in successive sessions, I may push it because I want them to develop those skills. Break?
Yeah, you guys, 10-minute break?
Yes, sir.
Great. 10-minute break. Thank you, Richard.
Good job.